Alright, so I'm not entirely sure where this vlog is going to go today, guys. I had this whole concept that I was going to talk about, like, the writing that I did in my youth. You know, when you're a kid and you make up crazy fantasy stories with your friends and they're horrible because they're poorly written because you're 10 and you don't know any better. I don't know. I had this whole thing because this week I've been thinking a lot about writing and creativity and inspiration, and my attempts in the past to write have been mixed. I tried writing short stories and novels and fantasy when I was young, in high school and college. I wrote poetry and a little bit of creative fiction. Didn't touch fantasy, other than, you know, silly things you write and put online, and then, like, stopped. I got to this point and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not good. I can't do this. And that sort of defeatist attitude followed me. That's not what I'm here to talk about today. I'm here to talk about how my approach has changed. Since discovering role-playing and D&D, one of the things I've been thinking a lot about is how, as a GM or DM, you would approach creating a world for your players to inhabit, which is very different than how I've ever approached writing before. And I realize they really can go hand in hand. So when I, in the past, was thinking about, okay, here's my protagonist, they're gonna I want them to have this kind of adventure, this is what's gonna happen, this is what they're gonna do. You know, they're gonna find the magical sword and they're gonna go off on an adventure and they're gonna slay the dragon and they're gonna come back and they're gonna be heralded as the new savior of the country, blah, blah, blah. Very formulaic. Whereas, while the formula is good, it never felt fully fleshed out. It didn't feel real, it didn't feel new, it didn't feel fresh, it didn't feel alive. And as I've been thinking about role-playing, I've been thinking more and more about the either individual scenarios that might happen between a player and a non-player character, or who these non-player characters are, or the world that they're inhabiting. And, you know, this week I've still been watching a lot of Critical Role. It's happening. I actually watched my first live one on Thursday night. It was a one-shot. It was great. It was really intense. So it didn't distract me from not having been a part of the story at this point, so that was good. What am I trying to say? Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold still. The thing that I started thinking about this week was, if you're creating this world and you need to have characters for your players to interact with, you need to have created those characters, or at least have a rough outline of what those characters are. And so I started thinking about it, and I started realizing that's a great way to build out a world. You know, you have a bartender in a bar, and he owns the tavern, and let's see, what can we learn about him? We learn that he really hates when people come in and have fights in his bar. That's like his thing that he absolutely hates. However, he loves making money. So he knows he has to keep pouring drinks in order to make money, but he doesn't want there to be a fight in his bar because it costs him money to, like, repair all the broken furniture. But he wants to, you know, so it's a balance for him. So okay. So here you have this character and you have his motivations just a little bit. You have the things that he wants. What does he want to get out of this? He wants money. What is he afraid of? He's afraid of bar fights and things breaking his bar. Maybe he loves his bar more than he's ever loved anything in his entire life. He's not married. He doesn't have any kids. This is his mistress is his tavern, sort of thing. You must treat her with respect. There, I've just created a very interesting character for someone to run into, to meet, that sort of creates depth to a scene. That's how I should be applying everything to my writing. If I ever want to write something that's really amazing, I should be thinking about not just what my protagonist is doing, but also, like, who are the other characters? What makes them tick? And I don't know why I never put two and two together before. I think I was so focused on story and on plot and on here are the motivating factors for my protagonist that I wasn't thinking about, well, what about everybody else? So the camera died while I was filming, which means I'm not entirely sure where I was. I think the point I'm trying to make is taking more time to flesh out those other pieces instead of just worrying about what the plot and what the protagonist is, and coming at it from the position of a DM or a GM instead of from the position of a writer. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense right now, guys. This is just what's been in my head. So I've been using my journal to journal a little bit, but I've also been using it to write down ideas for characters, like side character NPCs, or areas or places, or small quest scenarios. I don't know what's going to come of this. Nothing. One day I'll have a use for them. I think that's the goal, is that as I'm coming up with, it's sort of like a daily exercise I'm going to do now, where I come up with a character or a place or something and just think about, who are they? What do they want? What are they afraid of? Or what do they dislike? And that can be it, but it also can lead to other avenues of thought, creativity, other character inspirations. You know, if you have this bartender and he does have a wife, maybe his wife is a shrewd businesswoman and he's kind of dumb. And unfortunately in their town, women are not treated equally, so she's the power behind the throne sort of thing in their tavern. Who knows? Who knows? Just being able to sort of like pull these pieces and get a little bit further with the thought. I don't know. It's like everything. It's like such a different approach from the approach that I've ever had before. It's like standing on your head and looking at it from a different perspective. It's really cool. It's really cool. In other nerdy news, I know I've mentioned it on Eric's blog, but I am joining my first D&D game. It starts not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday, which is really exciting. I'm so excited. I also had a long chat on Friday night with John about his RPG that he's running, and met some of his friends who are also in the RPG, and it could be really fun if he decides to invite me. But we talked about my character a little bit, so one day down the line it'll happen. I'm not forcing it. When it makes sense for them, at least I know kind of what my character is, and how I would play with it as it progressed. What else? I really can't believe I pulled out all these things, references, so that I could like talk about my writing journey, and then it just got away from me, so I wasn't quite sure what I was doing with this blog. But it's cool to look back on the things that you've done, or reread work that you wrote a long time ago. Like, seriously, this is a literary journal that I got published in high school, including artwork. Like, you guys want to see some really cool artwork that I did when I was like 15? Hold on. It's very this is so poorly reproduced, but you guys might recognize these. Those are the pieces of art that I have up in our living room right now, and they were published in this literary magazine when I was a senior in high school. So I still have that. That's still really neat. It's nice to hold on to things and have them to look back on and sort of enjoy what you had done, if you like what you did. I mean, I have notebooks. This is a very full I also like to handwrite things, so I have handwritten notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks of really bad fan fiction that I wrote back in the day. You never know what you're gonna find. I found freaking check this out. I found a book that I wrote, illustrated, and sewed up myself. I made this when I was in 3rd grade in public school in Virginia. And like, that's my 3rd grade work, man. I got that. I think that's it for the day, guys. I was trying to give you something a little insight rather than just telling you what I did this week, instead telling you what I thought about this week. hopefully you liked it. If you have your own ways that you get inspired, or ways that you think through things, or, you know, if you want to turn things on a head and do things differently, then I love to hear that, because obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm still learning as I go, so you never know what's going to inspire you, or what's going to change the way you're thinking and allow you to come at things from a different perspective. So keep an open mind, for sure, for sure. All right, that is it for today. I hope you guys had a great week. I'm sure I'll see you on Eric's blog. We're going to make some more videos. We're going to do some more stuff. Yeah. You're not going to get rid of us. So we'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.